Welcome back, you guys, to the Travel Times hosted by Laura, Reid, and Peter. This podcast is sponsored by Live More. Reversible easy travel clothing that is a necessity for a trip is also my clothing brand. So if you guys haven't shopped Live More the label, you can get a special discount for this podcast, the Travel Times 15. Use that and you're going to save some money. We have lots of fun pieces coming.
So what's on the docket for this episode?
So today we are going to be interviewing my friend Cody Buffinton. He is a very talented filmmaker and is a fellow travel vlogging friend of mine. We'll dive into how I know him and everything in the interview, but yeah, he's an awesome guy and he quit YouTube this year for a little bit and has kind of revamped everything. So I'm very excited to have you guys hear his story and like why he did that and what direction he's going in now. So
yeah, this was my first time meeting Cody, but I've seen Laura in some videos with him. They've done a trip together, I think, in like the Philippines.
Back 2 years ago, Megan and Haley.
That's right.
It was great. It was fantastic. I feel like in the travel vlogging community, a lot of people you'll end up traveling or crossing paths with people, and so you'll be in Bali at the same time or be in Philippines or one of the other popular countries that a lot of the travel vloggers go to, and so you meet up, make cool vlogs, and it's fun to travel with travel vloggers because they know that it's going to take a long time to get the shot, and they're willing to go the extra mile for you to really like make sure that everything is good in your videos. And so, it's nice.
That's one thing I liked about the interview was he spoke a lot about the community, different creators, how he likes traveling, with groups and learning things from each person that he travels with and kind of applying them, different things that he learns, to his own videos and his content. And it was also cool kind of listening to his journey, like where he started from and what he's planning for 2021. I think the listeners will really like it too.
Yeah. So with that, make sure you are following us on everywhere that you listen to a podcast. If you guys are listening to this and not watching this, it's also on my YouTube channel. You can check it out there, Laura Reid. Just search it in the bar and it will come up. And if you're watching this and you want to listen to it in your car, head over to Spotify, iTunes, and I think that's where podcasts live. And various other places. We're still getting used to this, guys. It's a brand new podcast, but I'm excited for so many more interviews. But today we're going to be interviewing none other than Cody Buffinton. So stay tuned for that, and let's get into the interview. I am here joined with Cody Buffinton, and we go back quite a while. I've known you for how long?
5 years?
5 years. I was going to say, about 5 years. So it's good to have you as one of the few first guests on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming. And so I'd love to hear a bit more about, obviously we're friends from both being travel vloggers. And so I would love to hear more about how you got started and just your journey on YouTube.
Yeah. So it's been, especially during this year, it's been a crazy change. So my whole career has kind of evolved a lot over these past 5-6 years. So it originally started probably 2015. It's now almost 2021, but 2015 is when I really started. And I met my friend Josh, Exploring with Josh. He's another YouTuber. And originally I was in film school. I wanted to be a filmmaker, but I also love travel. And I was seeing all these, these travel companies going around and bringing on videographers. So I was trying to essentially mimic the tours that they were doing. And so I had just been scrolling through some travel vlogs. I was actually watching Fun for Louie. And I saw Josh's comment on there saying something along the lines of, hey, I make travel videos too. And I was like, and I went to his channel and I saw that he lived pretty close to me. So I was like, oh, sweet. So I hit this guy up and I was like, hey, you're making some cool abandoned videos, but I also see that you're doing some travel stuff. Like he had traveled around the US. I was like, let's make a video. He's like, great. Come to this abandoned place and we'll shoot a video. And this was like the middle of winter, 2015.
You're like, great.
I had no idea. I was not in the abandoned world of exploration, but I like exploring. I like traveling. I like seeing new things. So I was like, sure. So we film a video. I filmed it a little more, I guess you could say cinematic because I was doing filmmaking for school. And we both made videos and they both went viral. I'm sort of like, well, shit. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you can swear. No, we're swearing on this podcast. Don't worry.
No censorship.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, well, there might be something to this. So it was something I just kind of fell into was like, starting my channel, exploring abandoned places all over the US and then all over the world. So that's how I kind of got my original start. That's how I think got my first like maybe 100,000 subscribers. Was doing that, combined with a couple other guys in our exploring group who were doing that. And then I kind of transitioned into travel, which is more so when I started, collabing with you guys, out in the Philippines and Bali and all that. I had gotten mixed into the whole travel crew at, Buffer Festival and all these other different YouTube creator festivals. And I really like traveling. That was my goal for a long time. So I got into travel, and I slowly switched from doing abandoned stuff. I still kept doing a little bit, but mostly did travel later on. And then, this is fast forward now 4 years of doing travel. It's 2020 and travel is not really a big thing this year. And so I was like, all right, cool. This is going to be a year for experimenting. And so I've done a lot of different things. I've done a lot of learning on social media marketing because it's very kind of similar to what we do, social media, but now taking the marketing side to it. So I've done a lot of learning about social media marketing, but I've also really gotten into real estate recently and New York City real estate. And so this past couple of months, I've been focusing a lot on New York City real estate. And that's kind of where my next career transition is going to. It's going to be not only real estate, but I think real estate around the world. I don't know if you guys have ever seen. There's a Netflix show, which I think is called Extraordinary Homes or something along those lines.
Oh yeah,
I've
I
watched
think
that.
I know
It's
the
like
one.
all the coolest houses around the world. And I think the next evolution of my channel is something along those lines, where it's going to be a mix of like the really nice houses around the world, but also back home in New York, probably doing I really want to get into real estate investing. So some version of, those home improvement shows where they like fix the houses and flip them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be that as well. So it's going to be like the
Cool.
home TV network. So
That's
it'll be
cool.
really cool places while traveling, but also when I'm back home, I'll have that ability to, fix up and flip houses and stuff like that. So that's where I'm
Totally.
at.
Yeah, and it's nice to obviously have something that you can do when you're at home, but then also on the road. Because I noticed you had stopped posting on YouTube this year. When was that around?
So that was around February this year. And
Okay.
honestly, it was it was weird timing with the whole pandemic because I was honestly really burnt out because last year I had done a travel show. And so I was traveling in a different hotel room for more than 10 months of the year. So I was home very little. I was very burnt out last year. And so I came home in January thinking I'd go out and travel like maybe 3 months later, but that didn't happen. So I was home the entire year essentially. So that's when I started thinking about different business ideas I could do on top of travel because like we learned this year, if there's no travel, it's a little harder to do our business.
Totally. You have to
Yeah.
diversify. Otherwise, it's just so difficult. And I think like I mean, a lot of YouTubers, especially the travel industry, was hit so hard this year and anyone who worked
Yeah.
in travel. And so it was just like brutal. And I think it really made you realize that like, okay, if you don't have a backup plan, if you don't have something else going on, now is the time because
Mhm.
otherwise you're going to be screwed because there's no money coming in.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's kind of scary. I mean, luckily, we have been doing this for a while, but I have a lot of friends who are smaller travelers and they had big contracts months out and they just got completely canceled and they had to like, really figure out what to do. And that was the thing that was kind of scary for our industry and just people in general who had to like move back home and everything. And a lot of people got their jobs lost, including us. So it was that moment of realization of, you know, am I going to be able to do this 5 years from now? And do I want this to be my only source of income, for the next 5 or so years? And I've been doing this for, 5, 6 years now. So early this year, I realized like, I don't know if I want this to be my only source of income for the next 5 years. I want it to be more kind of how you have it, where you're able to go home for maybe a month or so. And for me, it was like, I'd come home for a week and I'd be out of content. So I had to go out and travel again. And that's kind of um, shitty feeling to have, like coming home and knowing you have to go buy a plane ticket the next week because you have no video to post on Saturday, right?
Yeah, and it's very
Yeah.
expensive too, because I think in the travel industry, like people
Yeah,
don't realize that we don't get paid to travel. Like it's literally we're using our sponsorships and any extra income we've saved from sponsorships to basically
yeah,
book a new flight and go travel. Like it's not like, I mean, sometimes sure you get an airline sponsorship, you get someone wanting to send you out, but like the majority of time it's out of pocket.
yeah. I'd say 95% of the time it's out of pocket. Rarely do I have a brand who will actually fly me somewhere. Brands will like pay for something and then you use that money in your ticket to go somewhere and make a cool video. but I'm doing my accounting again right now at the end of the year, and I'm realizing like the amount of expenses we have as just a new hotel every night, a new Airbnb, new plane ticket, different transportation. It adds up really quick. So I think it's one of the most expensive niches on YouTube, and it's hard to kind of predict an income for the next year.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You have to be making a lot of money to really, I think, take it to the next level and really start making money with travel vlogging, because you're basically eating up all of I tried to explain that to him, because I was like, I make great money, but then I'm spending it all on travel. And it's just like, it's tough at times, especially in a year of a pandemic, when it's like, oh, all of a sudden no money, and then there's still expenses. So.
And especially when you're like trying to keep up with the content, like you were just saying, you got to think about how many trips you're actually doing, and then all the expenses that come with that. I think that was kind of one thing that surprised me when Laura and I started dating, was just, you have to just keep up. And, you think about all these trips, I don't go on as many trips for pleasure like that. Most of mine are just business trips that are pretty easily expense everything. So that was one thing really surprising.
Our business expenses. That's the one I
I was gonna say, at least we can write off everything.
I was like, no, so they're not a vacation. We're always working. But
I get that.
That being said, I mean, a lot of people think, oh, you're always on vacation. Yeah. You're like, no, you don't understand until you come on a trip and you see how much filming is involved. You're like, oh yeah, this is not fun.
That was another thing that surprised me. And I think after we started dating and looking at it, you're almost looking at these trips as like an investment, because you want, to drive your channel and everything that associates with it. So if you just kind of like, for me, it was just kind of shifting the mindset, because before, like she just said, I thought these were just like, pleasure trips. They're in great destinations. They look so awesome. and
that's the thing too. Like you just mentioned, investments, and a lot of times, once you go to some places, you start to realize the trends of the year and what places are, going to be good. For example, maybe you go to Greece for the summer or before summer, because those are going to, be popping in a couple months. So you go and plan a trip. And so a lot of times I had been going to countries where it wasn't the place that I necessarily felt like going at that time, but I went there because I knew that it was going to do well. And before I went, I had planned 5 different videos that I knew would probably do well in that country. And so it is a lot of like research and investment beforehand. So it's kind of like a nonstop work process, always thinking about what's going to be the next thing that will make the trip worth the price tag that you pay. That was one thing I had to really calculate, where my channel wasn't super brand friendly. Like having done all the abandoned stuff, it kind of had I feel like it had a negative brand connotation for a while. Towards the end, I shifted it, and it was very much more brand friendly with the travel and everything. But for a while, it was just all the money I made from the ads you see off of YouTube. And so to make it worth it, I had to make a lot of videos that would get a lot of views in order to make the trips worth it. So I'd be coming out with videos that I didn't necessarily want to shoot, but I knew it was going to do really well. And so those are all like, I shot like a ton of food ones where I was like allergic to half of the things, but I did it.
Your face is red. And so, actually, I remember the time we were in Bali with a big group, and the takeout food accidentally had, was it bananas in it, or what is it that you're allergic?
No, it was pizza had peanuts in it.
Peanuts.
And I'm allergic to peanuts.
Yes, right. You started like swelling. It was bad. It was very bad. And we had to like find Benadryl, and not good.
So
that's tough.
I have a question just for like someone who's not in the industry. Like when you're talking about planning these videos out and like where to go and, what to shoot and stuff that you kind of described it as you think it's going to do good in the future or something. Like can you give me an example, or like how do you come to make that determination, I guess?
Yeah, so part of it is to do with experience, but a lot of it is also there's different analytical tools you can see, which like Google Trends, which will show you like it'll show you what people search at different parts of the year. So if I go on Google Trends, I can see around end of springtime, the search term Greece like pops off like crazy. And so I know specifically if I go make a video a month before and I time it just right, my video will go viral. So it's things like that, but also seeing where other people in your industry have gone and videos that have done really well for them. You can kind of get the gist of what's going to do well for you. So that's why you'll see a lot of people, they go to the same locations. It's very much I
was going to say that everyone just copies one another.
It's very much a thing where like someone on Instagram will go first, like an Instagram photographer, and then it kind of bleeds over into YouTube, where all the YouTubers will go to this new kind of undocumented place. Like, for example, I think maybe it was last year or the year before, no one had really documented Mongolia, but it really popped off like last year. And I know I really wanted to go, and all these different places. And then they become popular for Instagrammers and pictures and all that stuff. So, it's kind of a little bit of experience, but a little bit of Google Analytics that you can kind of tell.
That's cool.
Yeah. So for anyone listening, I'd highly suggest Google Trends, but also TubeBuddy. You can see, you can search terms on there. And then when you search terms, you can see what titles do the best. So you might have a title that you think is good, but then it'll show you like 5 titles that are probably going to score better, rank better. And, you kind of come up with video ideas based off of those titles before you even go to a location. That's a key tip.
Totally. And I always say that to people, is that you need to and I haven't always done this in the past, but like decide what your title is going to be and decide what your thumbnail is going to be. Because if you don't do that, it's almost just like pointless, because you're just like throwing away a vlog. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's automatically going to do better, but it really ups the chances that if it's a SEO friendly title, that vlog, especially over time, will do a lot better than if it wasn't.
For sure. And I think that's something we all definitely kind of learned in the last few years. Before maybe around 2015, 2016, it was big days of like daily vlogging. And those, you don't come up with a title or anything. Like, you're uploading it and you're thinking of a title and a thumbnail.
You're just trying to survive.
Yeah, you're just trying to survive when you're daily vlogging. But now I think are more of the days where you can literally come up with the title and thumbnail before you even shoot the video. And that's the best bet, because it's going to do well, and the time is going to be well spent. And especially for our industry, it's, that the money is going to be well spent, because if you're going somewhere, it's going to hopefully have a return for you.
Totally. And have you ever had any series that have like seriously popped off that you like weren't expecting, or you kind of like thought was going to pop off?
Yeah. So I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was my filming. This last half of the year, I brought on a videographer to travel with me full time. It's a great guy from Canada. His name is Michael. And for some reason, when we started filming together, our videos, I was able to focus more on what I think is going to do well. So I think it gave me time more to focus and research. And all my videos that from last year did really well because I searched the places that I knew were going to do well. So I went to Peru last year. I went to Egypt and Jordan. And those series like really did well. My Machu Picchu video, I titled it Machu Picchu, What People Don't Show You, and it has like 1.2 million views.
That's amazing. It's very catchy.
It's just, it's taking things like that, which people are always going to search, but then adding a twist to it, which entices people, like what you don't see. I did the same thing when I went to Petra, and I think the pyramids of Egypt. Like I did like 3 of the 7 wonders in like the matter of like a month and a half.
That's really cool.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so it was those series where I was studying before the months prior, like what places people were going to that did really well. And so the second half of last year, I made a bunch of videos and they really did well.
Yeah, that's definitely key, I think, in making your channel grow, is you need to get those viral videos. Otherwise, it's just like, it's really hard to grow on YouTube. And I think it's also getting kind of increasingly harder to grow. Like there's just certain things I'm like, oh, this is going to do really well. And then I put it out and I'm like, oh, that was a flop. But
yeah. And that's definitely one of the things, like I haven't posted, other than this past week is the first time I posted in like 10 months, but I didn't post the majority of this year because I was really focusing on building a different business. But I grew, I think, I want to say 15 or 20,000 subscribers this year from just that like one viral video. And
That's
so like
amazing.
I was growing, I was still making money, passive income from my YouTube videos this entire year from these videos that went viral, and still continue to get more views this whole year.
That's awesome. And is that the Machu Picchu one?
Yeah. So that one, that one brought in a lot of new viewers, a lot of subscribers, and then they kind of like trickle down and like watch the other videos. So the key to growing and sustainability is to get these videos that will go viral, and then it kind of bleeds into the rest of your channel. The subscribers will then check out other things.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And that's the kind of the nice part about YouTube, is you're kind of building up a library, and like once those videos are on there, they're there forever. So essentially you can get residual payments from that forever and continue. It kind of grows itself after a while, which is the nice thing about having a YouTube channel for a while, is that like yourself, you took a break, but you're still able to grow X amount of followers within a year. So
yeah, it was nice too, because like I wasn't making a whole lot of money at the start of the year, like starting a whole new business from scratch, but I was like getting these checks from YouTube every month because I have like over 500 or 600 videos on my channel that are all still getting views. And, I have one from like Area 51 from 5 years ago where there was like some popular like Area 51
I
thing
saw
going
that.
on.
Yeah, there was a
And
TikTok or
my
something trend.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's like people like gonna go raid and like rush Area 51. Like,
Oh, I totally
remember
remember
that?
that.
That
Yeah.
was
Oh
And
like,
like
yeah.
my
yeah,
video
like
gained
eight
like
months ago.
300,000 views in a week.
Oh,
Nice.
that's
Like
crazy.
stuff like random stuff like that. So having a backlog catalog was nice because I was getting all this income and I was just doing something else. So
Nice.
Totally. Yeah. And you've done a lot of really cool videos on like abandoned buildings and stuff like Area 51. Was there any of your old videos that really stood out where you're like, okay, that was a really, really cool experience to you not even just film, but like to just actually like live. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
yeah, no, definitely. There's been a lot like that. Just thinking back, there's one we did this was part of a video, but also part of the TV show I filmed last year. I made a video on it as well, but we were in Fukushima, Japan last year, where there was that big nuclear disaster and everything. And we got to go through all these red zones where most people can't go. It's no longer dangerous because Japan really has their shit together. And so they've kind of like, fixed everything. We can go through all these zones and these entire villages or these old traditional houses, and you can walk through and you can see everything just as it was left. But what was really cool about that experience versus just your typical abandoned place was we actually got to meet a family who is one of the very few families that moved back into Fukushima, which not many people are, willing to do. They're kind of scared because of the radiation. And so we got to have a sit down, meal and talk and interview with this traditional Japanese
Oh
family.
wow.
And it was like three generations, like the grandma, the kids, and like their kids. And we talked to all of them about, what their thoughts were moving back and, the tradition of living here and why they wanted to live here. And we got to really just not only experience the beauty of this Japanese village, but also the culture of these Japanese people who invited us into their home. And we talked to them about their experience and all their, their memories of Fukushima and why they wanted to come back. And so that was kind of a really unique experience in terms of the abandoned and travels.
Yeah, and it's like obviously the nature of your channel at the time, like you got to do cool experiences like that not the average person could do. Like not everyone can go in and go to these red zones. And so that's
Right.
neat to be able to experience that and actually like share it with the world.
Yeah, and I think that was the one thing I really liked when I was traveling last year was I tried to brand my channel last year as more of a unique experience / adventure travel channel as opposed to just your typical travel channel. So last year we were doing, a bunch of things like instead of just a typical hike to Machu Picchu, we also did a 4-day, high altitude hike through these snow-capped mountains. And so it's not something that everyone typically gets to do, or, we had to ask a guide to go to one specific location. But, once they're, they see you vlogging, they're like all about it. And they're like, yeah, let's go do these, different things. And so that's a really cool part about having, done this YouTube channel and, the I guess privilege I have to get to document and have as my career, going to do these things that not many people get to do and share it with people. And that's what a lot of people I think were attracted to my channel, was these different experiences in travel that most people don't usually do.
Totally. And you obviously used to travel with a group of guys. Was it hard trying to differentiate your guys' videos? Like what did you do for your channel you felt specifically that was
Yeah,
unique?
no, for sure. So when we first started, like you had mentioned, there was 4 of us. We called ourselves the Exploring Crew. We all had exploring in our name. And we were, at the time, it was really, really cool because we were like a kind of like, a boy band. We kind of had that feeling to us. Like we had a lot of fan art drawn of us, like all these anime. We had
I
meetups, and
remember
people would bring
those.
like little
Yeah.
pictures and stuff like that. So it was a really cool experience. And I feel like it was the time where we really connected with our followers the most. But it was really hard to differentiate ourselves because we were traveling full time together, and there was 4 of us daily vlogging the same exact thing every day.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that got tough because someone would want to watch like one person, maybe 2 people, but like you've seen the same day over and over. So to differentiate myself during that trip, I was a lot more of story. Like I had the traditional film, experience. So I was like very story driven with like some cinematic stuff, whereas other people were more, raw daily vlog type stuff. And so that was how I set myself apart at first, but we had to really split off because it was, like I mentioned, it was really hard to film the same thing 4 times over and have people watch everyone's videos. So that was where it was like the sadness of a boy band breaking up, because we all had to kind of go do our own things. And I think when that happened, I really leaned into traveling more and kind of going into the travel space more so than just doing abandon. And the other guys, they focus more on abandoned stuff, and they all, blew up and grew in their own right. But for me, it had always been, going to unique places and doing more travel type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You always, at some point, the boy band has to break up and you have to go on and discover your
It's
own
sad.
identities.
You have to go make your own solo album.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, you did a good job with your solo album.
You're like the Justin Timberlake, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I hope so.
You're like, which one am I?
Which one am I?
Yeah. So because what I find really interesting is you actually did TV travel as well. So I want to hear a little bit about how it was different filming the TV show, which obviously is like traditional, whatever, compared to YouTube stuff. And like, were you allowed to do your YouTube stuff and do stories, or was there restrictions?
Yeah. So it was kind of cool because this was for a network called Insight TV, which is kind of like your Netflix or your Hulu. So it's an online streaming service, but it's a more newer one and it's bigger in Europe. So when we signed the contract with them, we had very specific things where we had to write in that we were allowed to film our own videos on YouTube. We were allowed to post whatever we wanted, within reason, like not give away spoilers of the show. But also because they were bringing us on because we were social media people, they wanted our following to go watch the show. That's pretty much why they hired us. And so there was more obligation to shoot more stories and stuff like that, which was fine because it was so much fun. And so it was, I guess you could say, it was really tough because it was a traditional shooting day, 14-hour days, but also you're on the go. Like we would fly to a different country every week, and Josh and I both went to 10 different countries, and over the course of like 6 months. Wow. And so all that while also trying to film my own videos, in the extra time that we had, or like I would always ask them to book my flight a week early or ask them to book my flight out a week later. So that's why last year I got really burnt out trying to keep up with keeping up my channel, but also doing the show. So it was fun in the aspect that like, it has been what I always wanted. Like I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor. I was going to acting lessons in New York. I always wanted my TV show. So it was a dream come true. But the reality is it was really, really tough and really draining. One of the best experiences ever, but it definitely is a more traditional, hurry up and then wait kind of set,
Totally. Yeah.
Everyone gets ready and then you're just kind of sitting for like 20 minutes while the camera's changing batteries and offloading footage, and you're in the middle of an abandoned building and it's like, so it was a different experience. It definitely made me appreciate the fast pace-ness we have with YouTube and the ability to kind of point and shoot, and you have the take in one take. There was a lot of, getting the B-roll shots for the show is us like literally just walking across the screen like 5 times back and forth to get these shots. And, this is something I could have done like 2 seconds with my YouTube channel and it would have been great. So there's definitely like pros and cons to each. It was definitely the most fun experience, like having a group of people to collaborate. I think that's the thing I really liked the most. I think that's kind of what drew me to like the guys in the boy band, is like having other people with you traveling. It's like that fun travel group experience. And that was honestly the best part for me. So
totally. And it's nice too when you have like-minded people with you, and it's like you're all there to create content and you're there to film, and that's like, it's like one collective goal. It was probably nice too that you got obviously your travel paid for. So it's like you got to go to these countries, stay a week extra, even though it was draining, and then film all the stuff for it. Yeah,
that's the thing. I took last year. I knew it was going to be a tough year, but I knew if I did it, it would be super advantageous because I had, I was getting flown out to these countries for free. So I was like, if I just stay and make my own content, I'm going to have essentially free content to go and then, get flown to the next one, do the same thing. And so I knew it was going to be a tough year, but it was going to be well worth it. And it was, financially and on YouTube as well. Like, the channel did really well last year. So all these different things. It was definitely a year of hustling. It brought me back to the days of like daily vlogging in like 2015. It was that kind of mindset, get up and constantly shoot all day and go to bed exhausted. But that's the kind of stuff I like. I like being on the road and, constantly working on something that I actually like to do, which is making videos, traveling, and being with, good friends. So it was stressful, but it was a lot of fun.
Totally. Yeah. Because traveling is draining to begin with, let alone when you're like filming all day, it can definitely be very tiring.
And the thing too is, and I'm sure you've maybe noticed this if you've traveled with, people, when you get other people who are creative and they're able to help you out in the videos and shoot, and like when we were in the Philippines, like having all of us like making videos and like able to see a different creative shot that we can get for you, different photos. Like all my best photos on Instagram are the ones you guys took in the Philippines for me.
Yeah, with Siargao, that was so
Siargao. It's like I missed that because I had like these different creative eyes than I usually have with me, and so having different people who have that mindset and want to do the same thing as you is the best.
Yeah, you have different personalities, and it's like people who contribute to your vlog, and so it's like when it was you, me, Haley, and Megan, and everyone's like in each other's vlogs, we're like yelling in the background. It just makes it so much more fun, I think, for the viewer. And so it's easier just to film, even if you're doing something random. It makes it so much easier to film and create entertaining content, because essentially at the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to do, is keep the viewer engaged and like entertain them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And having that was great about us being able to meet up with Haley, Megan, and then meet up with different people when we go to different Buffer Festival or different summits and whatnot, and having these different personalities, because they already know what to do. Like they're YouTubers as well, they know to be fun and what to do and how to speak on camera. So having these different personalities with you all the time, it's so much fun, because they understand what you're trying to do. A lot of times I'll go on trips that aren't with friends. Like I've gone on trips with my parents, which are great in their own aspect, but it does make the filming a lot tougher, because I'm like, all right, well, we actually need to go get this shot for sunset. So we actually need to leave
I don't
right
want
now.
to.
Yeah, exactly. So it's different kind of planning when you're with people who are creating videos, and you also account for a lot more time spent making the videos.
Totally. Yeah. Trying to explain to your parents how to get B-roll is always a little difficult. I'm like, sway back and forth, get a panning shot. I was like,
or me.
My mom's actually great at filming. She was in Bali with me, and she did fantastic. So it's like, perfect.
Awesome. There you go. Yeah, just a little training camp, a couple of days, and they're good to go.
Right. Yeah. And so are you back in New York right now?
I'm actually getting a new apartment in the middle of January.
Oh, or is it right in the city, or where is it?
Yeah, I'm in Manhattan.
Oh, that's exciting. So be a true New Yorker.
Exactly. So I'm going to do, my New York City apartment tour kind of video.
Love it. Love it.
Get that done. New York City during the winter, New York City with what it's like with, COVID, pandemic, all that. So get those kind of videos out of the way.
Yeah. And New York videos do so well. Like but the key is, and I think we've talked about this before, is that you have to actually live in New York. Like if you live outside of New York, they know, and they're like, those videos you've said they haven't done as well when they knew that you lived outside.
That's the thing. I've never really lived in New York, but I've always, like, I'm Connecticut, so I'm a train ride away. I'm always in it. My New York videos never do well. But now that I'm like actually living there, I'm like, I have all these friends in New York and their videos do extremely well. I'm like, what's the difference? It's like, well, I'm not an actual New Yorker. Like I don't actually live there. I just come in and visit and try and take all their cool views and whatnot.
Yeah. And they're like, no, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm going to really have the full on experience, working in real estate, getting to know the areas a lot more, and make videos there. It's going to be a lot of, because there's actually a good amount of YouTubers I want to collaborate with there as well. So that's going to be fun. And that's kind of what I'm planning to do for the next couple of months. And then, we'll see as the year goes. I want to venture out to travel to cool places. Like, there's the famous like $1 million listing shows, those, like they show the really nice places in New York or LA, but like not a lot of people are doing what $1 million place looks like in Bali or in Cape Town or, Korea, wherever. Not a lot of people are showing those. And as someone who comes from travel, but also has been, now getting into real estate, and I'm getting my license right now. I think having that perspective as well is going to be really cool, because it's a very popular format in New York and LA. And if I can apply that to other things, which I'm, already pretty good at, which is traveling, I think it'll be a kind of my own unique twist on things. And that's what you really need to stand out is, there's a lot of people doing this right now, but they're not doing it how I want to do it, with this little twist. It's interesting how over our lifetime of being on YouTube, it's transitioned from everyone was like a daily vlogger to now these very researched, polished videos once a week, you already have your title and everything. I think it's going to, because of the amount of competition, I think it's going to kind of transition into a way where everyone has to kind of do a Mr. Beast style video in their own niche. So, whatever the shocking thing is in your own niche, that's how you're going to get your viral videos these days. And so that's kind of tough, because I'm trying to think of like what the shocking things are for travel. So
I know.
I don't know exactly what it's going to be or how it's going to transition, because I know there's a lot of travel YouTubers who have consistent views, but it's just consistent, and they're like, while it might be able to maintain, you need those viral videos to really grow your subscriber, grow your audience.
Totally.
So I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work for travel. Maybe it'll be me with my $1 million Bali penthouse. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's going to have to be some kind of like differentiating thing, because every kid in high school and middle school wants to be a YouTuber. So
Totally. Yeah. It's really hard now to get a viral video. Like, I mean, Mr. Beast is probably the best guy in getting a viral video. But what I've heard, I've actually like from friends who've talked to him, they've said that he spends 80% of his time thinking about the title and thumbnail, and like we'll try different thumbnails and all that. And then 20% of the time actually filming the video. And I thought that was really interesting, because I'm like, okay, that makes a lot more sense, because essentially that's like what's getting someone to come and give you that view is like, is the title interesting? And is like, do I want to see what this thumbnail is all about?
Yeah. And so I think, before, where it was you could point and shoot and then it would get views no matter what. Now it's like very much a scientific kind of thing. If you're going to really stand out, you have to put in the time to think about what the psychology of what someone wants to watch in your niche. So whatever the Mr. Beast version of our niche is, what are people going to want to watch, and what is that thumbnail going to look like to have that click-through rate, which is going to, convert more views and subscribers for us.
Totally. It's all about the click-through rate, people. All about
That's literally what it is. And the click-through rate is just based on the thumbnail and title. So those have to be good. Doesn't even matter what you shoot, as long as you got
except though people do get mad when they're like, this isn't what I came for. So if you have a photo of your like as me as like a butt in my thumbnail and there's no you in a bikini, they get real upset. They're like, oh no.
You're there. Okay. Yeah. No,
so don't go in a bikini and then not show yourself in a bikini.
I think that was always my issue too, because like I'm a guy, so I never really had myself in a bikini, but when I had other people in bikinis, like I know I had this one viral video from Bali, and the click-through rate is super high. It has like a couple million views, but the watch time is like 5 seconds after people realize it's not what they came for.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah, you're a bunch of creeps.
Yeah, exactly. The girls in the thumbnail are only there for like 2 seconds, and they're like, oh, we're out. So,
totally.
Yeah, you have to be really thoughtful about that.
Yeah. No, bikini thumbnail will definitely get you there, though. Although YouTube has been cracking down. I have a friend who does a lot of bikini thumbnails, and now they like automatically like will ban, like demonetize all her videos. And she's like, it's nothing even bad, but she's just in a bikini in a lot of them. And they're just like, yeah, no, they're trying to make it super family friendly. So I'm like, all right, well, goes my hope for a viral video.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it's like YouTube cracks down a lot of stuff. I remember like a couple of weeks ago, I have a couple different music sites where I get my music. And some artist must have like taken his thing off of them, because I got like a bunch of notices like this video is copyrighted. I was like, what the heck? Like these are like 6-year-old videos.
Yeah.
And now like, so there's always these things constantly changing. Like I think it was maybe earlier this year or late last year, the kids space on YouTube, like people who made content for kids, they were killing it before. But then it just like went to zero because YouTube blocked advertisers from advertising to kids. And so
interesting.
that has also kind of been my thought during this year is, if YouTube does that to, another YouTube adpocalypse or whatever, like what is my business model going to look like that I can sustain for the coming years? And so that's why I've been kind of like switching it up and thinking of different stuff, because my manager, my YouTube manager, he was also a manager for a kids channel. And this person was making, tens of thousands per month in AdSense, and it just went to like zero.
Crazy.
So it's having that. And I suggest people start investing in different things.
Yeah, right. Well, apparently the
Yeah.
highest earner on YouTube is actually a kid who maybe not this year, but he does toy
Yeah,
reviews. I
Ryan's
think it's
Toys.
Ryan's Toys.
Ryan's
But
Toys. I've even
apparently,
heard of him.
didn't
Yeah.
he make something like 200
20
million or something like that last
He's
year?
been making about
20
20
million,
to
I think.
25 million
Yeah.
a year.
Okay,
in
so it's
AdSense.
probably total.
Maybe this year, not so much, but he's got his own toy line in like Walmart now, so he doesn't
But
really
like
care.
that kid is just
Oh,
like, and
wow.
he's 9, and he's like the highest like YouTube
Yeah.
earner. It's insane. It's like,
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
But maybe because he's a kid, he can still advertise. I don't know. But it was something about like people who are like grown-ups, like, advertising to kids because, they don't know better and, maybe they'll just buy whatever. And so
yeah.
YouTube cracked down on that this year.
Yeah, because there was also this one scandal going around or something, that there was a YouTube ad or something, like a video on YouTube that was like luring children in. And it was like this really creepy, I don't know if you heard about this, but it was like this really
No.
offside thing where they were like giving them instructions to like kill their parents. It was like really messed up.
On
And there
YouTube?
was some sort of viral video. I don't know if it was posted on YouTube or like some video platform online. And it was this
Yeah.
like super dark thing that was disguised as a kid video, but it was actually this thing where like basically like lured, like it was super creepy. But that's obviously
Yeah.
the need for more censorship, especially in kids videos, because creepy people are on the internet. Let's just say that.
Yeah. I mean, luckily YouTube is cracking down on things like that for sure. But it's also like the things like the bikini thumbnails now, the need to have a very catchy thumbnail and title, things like that, which it's making the space more competitive, as everyone wants the dream job of being a YouTuber. And so you have to really think of your own way to stand out. And that's one thing I felt like I started doing really well last year, was how do I stand out within the travel niche? So it's kind of like taking a broad niche and then maybe going deeper and seeing what the sub niche is in that, and then becoming the authority on that. And so as before, like you could be just a vlogger, you could be just in beauty, maybe you could be just in travel, but having your own sub niche within that is like why someone's going to go to your channel versus the other travel channel who is the exact same as yours.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think that's kind of also where it's going, like very, very niche down.
Yeah. And have you
Yeah,
got
I
on
can see that.
TikTok yet?
I
always ask
am,
people that, 'cause
I'm on it, but I don't have many followers. But I see yours and I'm just like, wow, she's killing it. And,
I'm like, it's the only platform anything's succeeding. So I've been encouraging all my friends. I'm like, you need to get on TikTok.
Oh, for sure. I have a full-on strategy for 2021.
That's good.
Like I'm gonna blow up this year because I'm on there and I'm studying this. Yeah, I'm studying the algorithm and everything.
Yeah.
And New York City apartment tour videos do really well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And I'm in that, and anything to do with New York just seems to do really well. And so I'm like, this is perfect. I just walk around, show New York, and it gets like 1 million views. So that's my goal in the next coming weeks, is just start shooting all kinds of different, really nice apartments. Because once I get my license, I'll be able to kind of just go and see different really nice apartments all the time, and seeing those and like penthouses and whatnot. These things that, again, most people can't normally see, and those things that most people don't have access to, those things tend to do really well. So that's my goal for
Totally.
2021.
That's very
start
exciting.
showing off those New York things. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. That's amazing. I
Thank
feel
you.
lots of good things coming in 2021.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a much better year than this year.
Yeah. I mean, it can only go up from here, really.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask about the shift to real estate. I think you're totally right. New York is one of those places that everyone's kind of interested in. It's such a hub for North America, and has all these things everyone has been and kind of would like to live there, I guess. And I think like one thing that's always interested me, especially with this pandemic, is like in Vancouver anyways, real estate transactions are still pretty high here, but people aren't even going to open houses. They really rely a lot on like, the video and what they see in the ad. And I feel like that if you can make a good video on like a listing, your chances of getting more offers like skyrockets, because there's a lot of like out of town buyers, especially in New York, I bet.
Yeah, so I'd love to touch on that for a second. So I'll mention another YouTuber, probably Eric Conover. So
he was kind
of the pioneer in video marketing on YouTube as someone with a large subscriber count. And so he just off the bat did really well because he had more subscribers, but also he was kind of a New York influencer. So he had that background behind him. But then he collaborated with Ryan Serhan, one of the biggest real estate people, and together they just had a bunch of videos go super viral. And from that, before Eric was even an agent, he was selling apartments from his videos. And so, he wasn't an agent, but I think he was like, he worked something out where he was like getting some kind of, kickback because he was helping them sell these, 10 million, $5 million places.
Which is insane that one of his videos would like help, like basically like sell the listing for the
totally
real estate
makes
agent.
sense though. Totally makes sense.
And what's interesting is I wouldn't think of it either, because I didn't think initially it would do well, because like who has 10, $20 million and buying a house is on YouTube, but it's actually their kids who are showing them the videos. And that's why it's doing so well. And so now, especially this year, it like really kickstarted the movement of video tours and video list, showings and all that. And so now it's like going even harder. People just want to see a video before they even like think about going there.
Yeah.
And so, especially in the high-end luxury market of real estate, a lot of times in New York too, I'm sure Vancouver, but like people are international. So a lot of people aren't even in New York. And that's kind of been one of the things where, you can FaceTime a guy in like Beijing who's like some big owner who wants a penthouse in New York, or you can also send him your, YouTube video or whatever. And that's the thing that I think combining my exposure that I've had worldwide travel with, now New York, and kind of trying to do this thing, I'm trying to build a business model that will allow me to get a commission of different places I show all around the world, so that I'll have New York as my base, but I can go and show a place in, a $1 million place in Texas. And if someone wants the place and they, go into my, description, there's an email they can get in contact. And then if they sell it, I get a percentage of that. So that's kind of like the business model I'm trying to build out for the new year. It hasn't really been done because everyone kind of focuses in their city. So I'm trying to, diversify. But yeah, video, especially in 2021, video has blown up for real estate. And I'm trying to think of new unique twists on it.
Well, that's kind of, that was what I was getting at. And also I noticed that what's really popular right now with a lot of these like house listings and videos that I see online is drone footage, which you wouldn't traditionally think that would be kind of a real estate thing. But some of the videos that they create with the drones are just incredible. Like, it's hard not to continue like watching when you see this crazy like panning thing, or they go through the living room. Even I've seen.
Yeah, especially with some of these smaller drones, the shots you can get, inside, you can, even when you're in big mansions, you can fly the drone in the place and get these crazy shots of like the 20-foot ceilings. But I think you're right. Stuff like that is like what's not only attracting the people to continue watching, because it's like, things you don't normally see, but it's like, these new shots that you weren't able to get when drones were this, so much bigger, and these new ways to see things. And the I guess you could call it the amount of people who are just kind of sitting online with, nothing to do. They want to be entertained. So the amount of people who just want to watch something like that that's really interesting this year has really gone up. So if we can create that kind of content, then there's already a built-in audience, it seems.
Yeah, you're like perfect, and lots of money too, which is always a nice plus.
Hopefully, yeah, and you already got all the video, expertise and experience, so it sounds like a good fit.
Yeah, because you can do all your own real estate videos.
Exactly. That's the plan. I'm going to be, I'm working. And the thing is, I'm going to work with a pretty big real estate agent currently. So I'm partnering up with him. I don't have my license yet. I'm going through the process. It takes about 1 to 2 months right now. So I'm going through the process, and I'm shooting this guy's listings, and I'm putting them on my channel. So if we sell them, I get a percentage of it. But, it's more exposure for him, because all agents just want more exposure to themselves. It's more exposure for him. I get a cool video on my channel and potential commission off of it. And so it's kind of a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally. Well, that's super exciting. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing all those videos in 2021. And I don't know. Anything else to say?
Well, when Laura was telling me that we were bringing you on the show and kind of like what you do and everything, I'm incredibly intrigued by these like abandoned, abandoned buildings and those kind of videos. Admittedly, I watched a lot of them like myself. That for some reason, I'm just there. It's hard to not click on these things, if they like laid out well in the thumbnail. Just curious if you have like a story that you can share that maybe or elaborate on maybe one of the
Yeah.
videos or
Have
something
you
like
seen
that.
any ghosts? I would like to know.
That's kind of where I'm going with this. Yeah.
No, but I've seen some really unique stuff. Hold on, I'm going to my YouTube channel now to jog my memory of my videos.
Because I've been
Okay,
watching
cool.
some of Josh's videos recently, and he stayed in like all those the hot like exorcism houses and all that. I'm like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
that's like a little like it's scary.
Yeah, I think the story that you told actually in Japan, that's incredible. But I was thinking more like of a shocking one that you
Yeah,
can
that's what
share.
I'm trying to think of right now that I'm looking up to see what my shot, because I feel like I'm numb. I've numb to it all. I've seen so many weird things. So
Seriously, yeah.
let's see. I'm looking at my channel right now. So this one time, man, one of my top videos, I went to an abandoned military base, which is an island off of New York. And to get there, my dad flew me in his own little private plane. He's got his pilot license and his own like small plane. And so he flew me to this island, and that's in the video too. And so we went there, and there's this abandoned military base which has I guess ships used to come in and they would like load up artillery and bombs and all kinds of stuff like that. And a lot of it would it would fall off of the boat into the water. So we explored this military base, and then at the end we got some snorkeling gear and went out into the water, and we found this I guess exploded bomb or grenade or whatever. And that was kind of like the thumbnail of the thing. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was like this untapped bomb, and it was like, it was really
Seems
interesting.
super
Just
safe.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully it was safe.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't blow up, and the video did well. But stuff like that. I feel like Josh has a lot more of the scary stuff. I have a lot more
Yeah.
of like the crazy kind of interactions. Like I went to this one island in I think it was off of Mexico City. It's called Doll Island, and it's this really creepy island where there's like all these dolls pinned up on the trees.
I've heard of this
And there's
place.
one guy who lives there, and to get there you have to like talk to locals and stuff like that, and someone can bring you there. They actually even have a fake one that's like closer that they just take unsuspecting tourists to now because it's cheaper to get there. But then, so we went to the real one, through the swamp. We took this boat and we go to this island. There's this one old guy who's like living there, and we were walking around this really creepy island, and you hear about the story of like why the dolls were there. Is like this, apparently a young girl drowned on the shores nearby, and there was like a doll, and then he would just keep buying dolls and hanging them up, and there'd like be this ghost girl walking around the little island.
Oh, man.
And that's why he did it. It's just like kind of like creepy stories like that where you're walking around and you're just like
Yeah,
Oh,
it gives
yeah,
you the
seriously.
chills. I think I watched that vlog actually. I remember too also watching, I don't know if this was filmed in Bali, but it was a vlog where you guys went to like Skeleton Island. Was this in
yes.
Bali? And there was like
Yeah.
skeletons everywhere, like above, or was it an above ground cemetery or something?
Yeah, so that one, I don't think that one was less scary, more like not weird, but like unique tradition.
Yes.
And it was where they don't bury their dead in the ground. They leave them above ground in these like little like almost like little teepees of like sticks, but you can clearly see through them. So you just like go there and you see like 12 skeletons, and then you see a wall of
interesting.
skeleton heads and stuff like that. And so that one was more of like a unique tradition, because the story behind that was there's this really, really nice smelling tree. It's this huge tree, super old, and it's just really sweet smelling. And the story they told us was that there'd be neighboring villages that would attack them because they wanted whatever was coming from this tree. It was like kind of a sacred tree. And so to mask the scent, they found that 11 decomposing bodies masked the scent perfectly. If they had 12, it would be too smelly, but 11 was the perfect number.
Wow.
So that's why there's 11 of these things. And then, and to get there, you had to be like super well respected as a person in the village to get like the honor of that. So that was kind of a more of a unique tradition thing, but it was part of that like kind of abandoned type feel we had. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah. Where was that last one again?
That was that's a village called Trunyan in Indonesia. It's pretty, I think it's pretty close to Bali. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I think if you want to hear some crazy ghost stories, get Josh on here, because he's got like.
Yeah, I was gonna reach out to Josh. I was like, I need to get all my friends on the podcast.
Yeah, I have a lot more just kind of like crazy adventures getting to places. Like this one place I went to is called the Gates of Hell, and it's in New Jersey, and it's this big sewer system that has 7 levels that go down, and supposedly it's also in a really like bad area. So like gangs hang out there and like people get stabbed all the time. And so it's not a great area to go to. And it's just like sewer system that's filled with graffiti and all kinds of stuff. And as I was going through there, like we would see different footsteps and like you'd hear different things and hear, different people talking in different sewers. And it was like super creepy. And then there was like an eel in the water, like as I was walking through the water. So it's just like really weird things that happen. But if you want like the crazy ghost stories, get Josh on here.
I'll hit him up next.
Don't know if I want to hear them. Those ones you just told like freak me out enough.
Very minor.
Yeah.
It was like the light version.
So if people wanted to find you and follow you, where can they do that?
You can find me pretty much anywhere if you just type in my name, Cody Buffinton.
Perfect. And YouTube,
Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah, you're all over the place. Well, thank you honestly so much for coming on here and chatting with us.
No
I
problem.
really appreciate it. And it was super interesting, obviously,
me.
getting caught up with you and seeing like what you're doing. And I'm really excited to watch your videos coming up. And yeah, I think it's going to do really well.
Sweet. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and good luck to everything in the future. I think you're really onto something with what you're planning for next year.
Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna need some luck if I'm gonna pull this off, but I think I can do it.
Yeah, I believe in you. So good luck with that. And yeah, I will talk to you soon.
Bye.